Okay. Or if you have 941s, which is your employer quarterly federal tax returns, folks, you need to list every quarter here. So make sure you do that. Another box will be for the 940. And you need to list the years. And if you remember, if you viewed our employment tax audit issues segment, trust fund recovery penalty, you can also submit an offer for that as well. Then you come down here, section 3, reasons for the offer, doubt to collectability, just check that box, make it simple. Section 4 discusses the terms. You know, in my experience, I've always instructed my clients they need to pay the offer in full within 60 days of acceptance, or within 30 days. That's the best one to use, within 30 days of the acceptance of the offer. I don't like payments. 5 months is kind of okay. 24 months I have a hard time with. They might default. If they default, then the entire assessment will be assessed again against them. Turn to page, to the third page here, and go to section 6, explanation of circumstances, requesting an offer for the reasons listed below. Let's assume, hi, I was a non-filer, I haven't filed for several years. When we finally filed the returns to be a good citizen, come in compliance with the IRS, I owe way too much money, and I can't afford to pay this, so based on my, the offer to you, I am submitting here. Keep it real simple. Source of funds, best thing to do is that, in my case, most of my clients will borrow money from friends, relatives. I put that down here. Mother, father are willing to help taxpayer to pay the amount of the offer. And then page 4 of 4, mandatory signatures, make sure you sign everything. If you are the preparer, make sure you also sign your name there. You take the 656, the 433A, and don't forget all the substantiation with the 433A has got to be included with everything. Don't forget the check for $150. Mail it to the IRS office that we discussed earlier. That's what it's supposed to be filed with. It could take 6 to 8 months before you hear anything. Be patient. Tell your client this. Don't let them call you every week. Did you hear something? Did you hear something? No, it's going to take time. The IRS is inundated with this, and they don't have enough staff for it all. One thing to keep in mind and to remember, very important, number one, if an offer is accepted, you must remain in compliance for at least 5 years. If you default, you don't file a return, you're not in compliance, guess what? All the money that you owed the IRS will come back to haunt you again. Another thing you might want to consider, if you have submitted an offer and you or your client are receiving love letters to say, we have and let's assume you receive a notice of intent to levy, make sure you make a phone call to the IRS practitioner priority line or a revenue officer and say we are submitting an offer in compromise, and that most of the time should halt any collection activities. I can't even begin to tell you how important it is to actually read this entire manual that the IRS has put out on the offer and compromise, and do practice it. Make copies of the 656, copies of the 433A, and just fill in the blanks so you can have a nice package here to submit so you are familiar with it. So when you are talking to a client, let's say you're representing them, you know what you are saying. And to finalize this, if you have any questions or any doubt when you are completing one of these, log on to our community, ask your questions. I know it's not that easy to submit an offer and compromise, but if you keep it simple and you follow through with this, it should be simple enough for you. So log on to our community, ask your questions, I'll jump in. Others that have knowledge in this area, please do jump in and help your peers as well. And again, I thank you for watching.